Today we are discussing episode 5 and the final episode of Miss South Africa's Crown Chasers. Now I know you guys have been waiting a long time. I've been going through some stuff. I'm not going to elaborate too much. As Miss Anke said in her final interview, which we will be discussing in another video, I like to keep my private things private. I am finally getting around to talking about episode 5. First of all, the girls started off visiting a disadvantaged high school where they talked mainly about food scarcity and menstrual equity, and this was a bit of a low note to start the episode on, but I must say it just once again reminded me of how our government is failing the children. As someone who used to be in the education profession myself, I must say that definitely this is not an uncommon sight to be seen in a developing country such as South Africa and also Namibia. And so it just definitely makes me so sad to see a lot of these children not being able to give their best because of menstrual equity and also food scarcity. It just blows my mind that we are literally still paying taxes on menstrual products. It is insane. Menstrual products should be freely available everywhere, just like condoms are literally everywhere. At every little state sponsored thing there are condoms as far as the eye can see, but no menstrual products, and these women don't choose to go through that. So I definitely think it's unfair that menstrual inequality is still a thing. Why are we still having to debate on whether or not menstrual products should be at least tax-free, if not free itself? Now, the girls did have a little bit of a photo shoot with the reigning queen, Ndavi Nokeri. Of course, we have seen the results of this shoot. They are gorgeous, they are stunning. But one thing that a lot of people have brought up is the fact that Keaoleboga has chosen to wear a wig. She said that she did this apparently because the judges said they wanted something different from her. I'm not entirely sure that the wig is what they were talking about or what they wanted that was different. I think they were more referring to her performance and her demeanor instead of just her look, but perhaps that's something that she felt she needed to do in order to do better. So Kia did show up in a wig, which a lot of people pointed out. I don't think that's the judge's doing per se. She definitely chose to do this, possibly because she thought that it was the best course of action for her. For this week's runway challenge, the girls were wearing evening gowns, although Anke's one wasn't a gown, by Ané Oosthuysen. Now, Ané Oosthuysen, if you guys didn't know, is the sister of Willem Botha, who was also a photographer in an episode of Crown Chasers. So those two are sort of a dream team type of duo, with Willem being a photographer, stylist, Ané being, of course, an amazing designer. If you guys didn't know, Ané Oosthuysen also designed Demi Lee's final gown for Miss Universe back in 2017. So she definitely is amazing, and these gowns definitely showed her extreme talent that she has. Then the girls had a final interview. The judges for this interview was Leande, of course, Bonang, Govender, Gertuan Kutsia, as well as Bokang Mojane Shabalala, who was Miss South Africa all the way back in 2010, I believe. So we had 5 people on the judging panel for the final interview. First up, we had Bryoni. Bryoni was absolutely stunning in this Ané Oosthuysen gown. Honestly, guys, a lot of the gowns worn by these women I wouldn't mind seeing on the Miss Universe stage. As for Bryoni's interview itself with the judges, I thought that she could be more composed when speaking, because a lot of the times when she starts speaking, she's rambling on and it feels like she is speaking at people instead of to people. So she could definitely improve there. But oh my goodness, the look, she just looked amazing. Then we had Jordan. Jordan's interview for me actually went very, very well, considering that she has been pretty disappointing in Crown Chasers thus far. I did love the detail of her answer and the compassion of which the compassion in her voice which she had when she answered. You can definitely tell that Jordan is very much passionate about women empowerment, which is something I respect. When it came to Anke, right, I like Anke a lot, but I felt like her interview for Crown Chasers episode 5 was definitely not as impactful as it could have been. She was wearing this little number also, which wasn't exactly an evening gown, but I can't fault her for that. I don't think the girls had much say in which Analbota gowns they were given to wear. But for me, Anke's interview it didn't go as well as I had hoped it would, since she has become one of my favorites. For Kia, she was obviously very, very nervous, and her interview it made me so sad and embarrassed for her, because she definitely, especially in the beginning, lost her train of thoughts and couldn't complete an answer, and she had to keep cutting herself off to think about what she wanted to say. And honestly, I know she said later on that she didn't just want to plow ahead and say something that wasn't representative of what she was feeling really, but I feel like, it would have been better perhaps if she had just plowed right ahead and continued speaking instead of cutting herself off so much. It was really sad to watch. When it came to Nande, again, I felt like she was very, very authentic. Nande has this way of answering very difficult questions with so much grace and poise. So definitely was very impressed with Nande. So it came out that Homba during her interview is part of the LGBT community. Perhaps this was already known. I didn't know this about her, and so I was glad to learn this about her. I think it is very good to have that type of representation, especially in South Africa or in African countries in general, where the LGBT community is still very much looked down upon. I mean, I live in a country where gay marriage is not necessarily accepted yet, although steps have been taken to make it legal and things like that. And so I feel like having that sort of representation is definitely a step in the right direction. And I'm so very glad that Homba feels comfortable to share that side of her with us. So Homba's interview, if nothing else, at least told me something about her that I think is important. I think that Homba, honestly, is a serious contender for the crown, although a lot of people like to make out as if Homba is perhaps, a bit of an underdog, a dark horse. Yes, of course, perhaps in the beginning she was, because she was very tomboyish when she started and whatever, but obviously now she has blossomed into such a graceful, eloquent, amazing woman in such a short time span. It has been truly impressive to watch Homba go through this Miss South Africa journey, and I have major respect for her. When it came to Natasha, I thought Natasha did well. Nothing particularly impactful was said, but then again, I do hold Natasha to a very high standard. As of this moment, I still think that Natasha is the most full package contender for Miss South Africa this year. When it came to Melissa, oh my gosh guys, Melissa is just so pretty. She definitely has a Miss South Africa voice. Later on, she, spoiler alert, didn't do very well this episode, but I don't know, I just felt like she still is a major contender. A lot of people, I think, feel that she has lost her spark, she has lost her motivation, because apparently this Crown Chasers thing has been very tough on the girls, and I can imagine it being so, because obviously looking at the challenges that they do, it doesn't seem that tough, but I think actually being in it must be very, very draining, especially knowing that someone was going home each and every episode. Must have been so draining. So a lot of people think that Melissa has somehow lost her sparkle, but since she did make it through to the final stage, I do hope that she, can bounce back, which I definitely think that she will, because Melissa is just amazing. Okay, so after the interviews, of course, the judges always give their thoughts, they give their critiques, and Jordan actually ended up speaking back to a judge who gave her critique. Okay, it wasn't that serious, she wasn't majorly disrespectful, but I grew up in a household, okay, and I feel like a lot of South African people can relate to this. You do not speak back to the authority ever. And I feel like when it comes to the judge-contestant relationship, it is sort of like a parent-child or, a subordinate superior type of relationship. And when they give you like a sort of pointer or they give you criticism, you must just say, yes sir, thank you sir, and move on. But Jordan did have something to say, which just in that moment, perhaps it isn't right of me to feel this way. I just feel like you don't speak back or correct a judge ever. But maybe that's just me being, an old grandma. And times have changed. Bonang, on the other hand, had some nerve because she straight up told Melissa that her interview was not good. Which, Melissa took it on the cheek though. She took it on the cheek. And for that, I have some respect. But Bonang didn't have to go so hard on Melissa. Melissa, to be honest with you, I sort of felt bad for Melissa at that moment. To have Bonang, the queen bee, look at you in the face and say your interview was bad. I would be like, just bring me a gun, to be honest with you. Do you know what I also love about Crown Chasers is after all of the challenges are done, at the end of each episode, they put the photographs in front of the judges and then the judges sort of, speak amongst each other, but we never really see who they're talking about. And this episode's commentary from the judges while they were, pointing at photos, we couldn't see who they were pointing to. It was extra juicy, and I really love that they always add the judges' deliberations, talking about the judges' train of thoughts. It's just so interesting to me. So at the end of the day, Natasha, of course, ended up being the episode's winner. Natasha has won a bunch of episodes, and from the beginning, she has been very much a standout contestant. Which leads me again to the elephant in the room. We know that Arbany and Anne are in South Africa for Miss South Africa. The reigning Miss Supranational is not there, from what I've gathered. I know that Andre Slay, who is, very much at the helm of Miss Supranational, is in South Africa right now, but I'm not exactly sure whether or not it's for Miss SA or not. And, obviously Miss South Africa is making itself very Miss Universe focused since giving up the Miss World license. So we know that Miss Universe is the priority. With that being said, Natasha is the best candidate this year. Could she go to Miss Universe again? I don't think so. Perhaps if there was a special sort of arrangement with Anne. But then again, then the rule has to be changed for everyone, and then we will be seeing the same contestants at Miss Universe also year after year, guys, and I just can't do it. I live in Namibia already, where we see the same women competing every single year, and I can't have that for my Miss Universe. I cannot do it. Anyway, so we will have to see what happens with Natasha, because yes, of course, I agree that it's unfair. If she's the best contestant, then she should have the Miss South Africa title. But then again, Miss Universe is a big priority for Miss South Africa at the moment. Not to mention, they probably had to pay a lot more for the license since Anne took over and said that it's a free-for-all and literally anyone in any country could just buy the license, no matter the other organization's loyalty. So the Miss South Africa organization is not trying to be unplaced at Miss Universe, is what I'm trying to say. And definitely I think that's what will happen if we do not send the winner, the crowned winner of the pageant, because Miss Anne, of course, has said multiple times that every country who has the license to Miss Universe has to hold a pageant every single year, and only the winner of that pageant is expected to come to Miss Universe. So there are a lot of you guys who are talking about, what if we send Shudu to Miss Universe? Because obviously Shudu, who won in 2020, went to Miss World. We can't send Shudu because Anne doesn't want Shudu. Anne doesn't want 2020's winner. She wants 2023's winner. And it's definitely sad for Natasha, because literally if Natasha hadn't gone to Miss Universe in 2021, but Miss Universe 2020, I would definitely say freaking crown Natasha right now, because she is obviously, for me at least, the best. And one of you guys actually called me out for bias. You guys just don't know. If you think that I am for Natasha purely out of bias, then you guys do not know my journey with Natasha. I used to strongly dislike Natasha, especially in 2020, because I felt like she was very inauthentic. But this year, there is no denying that Natasha is the best contestant. She's the most consistent. She shows up. She knows the ropes. Natasha is just the best this year, and I don't think anybody can deny that. The bottom three actually was very interesting because it ended up being Jordan, Kia, and Melissa, which was interesting to me because these are all comeback queens. These are all women who have competed at Miss South Africa before and even got very far in the competition. And so this was very interesting to me. I must say that Melissa at least handled her bottom three placement with extreme grace and class, unlike Kia did last episode. Kia, of course, was in the bottom three once again, and she is the one who ended up being eliminated. And I must say, out of everyone, yes, I do agree that Kia was the one to be eliminated. I did say so in my last review of Crown Chasers that I did think that Kia would be the next one to go home, because to be honest, she was just the weakest link, and she didn't bring anything necessarily interesting to the table that wasn't already brought by another contestant. Other than that, we still have Melissa and Jordan in the running. I feel like Jordan isn't extremely strong either. For me, the strongest, of course, is Natasha, and then we will have to see what happens, because this year, guys, it is such a mess since Anne took over, because Natasha this year, she's back, but then again, you know, could the Miss South Africa organization crown her because Anne wants the crowned Miss SA or the crowned winner from every single country to be sent to Miss Universe only? So I think it would be unfair not to crown Natasha if she ends up performing the best at finals. We also don't know what will happen at finals, but right now, as of right now, Natasha is the clear winner to me, right? And we will just have to see what happens. So let me know you guys' opinion. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.